Scairt Radio.
Now, I'm the most receptive, and this is Cat.
Our music will be the same that is played in many of the countries on this day. Music that makes the heart glad, sings a song of peace on earth, goodwill toward men. First we travel to the British Isles, where the Yule log has been burning brightly since last night on the brick hearth. And while the flames chuckle merrily, the men of the family gather around and sing the old Christmas song of England. What hey, what hey, all over the town. Our roast it is white, our eggs is white. Our bowl is made of a milk. We be good fellows all, I think.
Hi, this is Sean with Scairt Radio, all the way from flooded Ireland on Profane Existence. That was the remastered version of Paid to be Saved from the as yet unreleased remastered version of Phonophobia by Extreme Noise Terror. Thanks again, Phil, for sending it on. This is the second half of the interview with Phil Vane from Extreme Noise Terror. Some of it might sound a bit all over the place, but it's just that I had to edit down like over a 2-hour conversation into about half an hour. I said in the last show I'd be playing a lot of DIY stuff from the Philippines in this week's show, but I'm now going to leave it to the next show so I can fit more in. So what are you up to at present, recording-wise? I know are you actually recording stuff for an album, like, are you? Or?
I just finished recording 2 tracks for the Slang Split 7-inch, which probably lead more to the really early days of ENT than anything we've done since probably Phonophobia, to be honest. It's just, I don't know, people have to listen to it, buy it, steal it, I don't know. We're not going to be having any personal copies to sell because it's quite limited, so it's going to be available from punkdistro.de, the German sort of punk distribution place.
Nice.
And I know they sort of send out and deal with loads of sort of DIY distributors around the world, so I'm pretty sure people are going to be able to pick it up if they want it. We've just sort of, well, about a month ago we finished remixing Phonophobia as well, because I actually bought the original master tapes from the studio. And mine and Dean's own personal opinion, it never really sounded what we really wanted it to sound. It always sounded a bit too clean in a way and a bit too nice. So we've actually sort of remixed all that and done additional production work on it, and it kind of sounds really fucking like how it should have done always. Yeah. So we were going to try and get it done on CD in Japan on MCR, but there's a legal problem with Vinyl Japan, the original company who did it. So that's not going to happen. But Farewell Records in Germany are going to release a very limited vinyl version of it. So that will be available as well through punkdistro.de, and no doubt any decent DIY sort of hardcore distribution ones around the world probably pick up a copy or two of it. I don't know, I think you'd be quite surprised. I think, with like the Phonophobia thing, it's just, Woody, our guitar player, heard it and he was like a fan of ENT back in those days, and he heard it the other day actually, and he just said, fucking hell, it's like a totally new album, a totally different album from what it ever was. So, the songs are the same, of course, we took them from the original recording, so then they've not been like totally re-recorded or nothing. We have the original master tapes, so we worked with that, added in an additional guitar track, and I think Dean did some vocals on one song, and that was it. Everything else has just been remixed, basically, and sort of, in a sense, done how it should have been done really years ago without any fucking, it always sounded really quite, a bit too nice in my eyes.
Really? Nice wouldn't be the word I'd use.
Polished off, a bit too sort of well presented in a way. It needed to be rougher and dirtier because I think that's what hardcore punk was. But that's my biggest gripe, even with like the Discharge album at times. I mean, that's a classic that's influenced many bands. But, if you compare like Decontrol and Fight Back and to the album, I mean, the early singles are fucking brilliant. They really capture that raw energy I'm sure Discharge used to have. And the album sounds very kind of neatly packaged and probably purposely done like that, to have this pummeling sort of what Discharge were, it's just like that non-stop one riff sort of bulldozer sound that they had. I still think if you'd have kind of had the production from Fight Back and did their album with it, I think the album would be fucking unbelievable,
Yeah.
But that's my personal opinion. I'm sure many people go, "What? Are you fucking crazy?"
I actually quite like the new stuff now with Rat singing too. I know it's not completely loved, but I think he does a good job now. The new kind of recorded stuff that they did.
Do you know what? I hadn't heard any of it. I haven't. It's sort of like quite shameful, really. I don't know. Sometimes I don't listen to as much music as I probably should do anymore. Not hardcore. It's like I'm one of these people. I don't live in the past, far from it. But Discharge to me, kind of after the album, just went bleh to me. And I always remembered them, like, I always kind of thought, you bastards, I fucking really, you know, Discharge one and bands, they were quite mystical in a way. You didn't really see a lot of them. They weren't really that much in the media. Only like the odd little bit. And then when you saw them at gigs, they were just all in black with like this fucking seriously spiked hair and they were just like I don't know. It was just like early Antisect as well. When you saw them, it was just like they were like an entity to themselves, you know.
Yeah.
And after like the Antisect album as well, to me that was just like, oh fuck, they seem to become, I don't know, maybe famous isn't the right words, but over popular in a way.
Right.
And it just sort of, so I just seen that there's something special went out of them, and I think the same with Discharge, but maybe I'm just being like nostalgic and bloody sort of, I don't know, like, oh, the good old days. But then again, I look back at Retribution and think, oh dear, what a big mistake that was as well. You know? So I don't know, but I think people sometimes, it's like, I've just done it to you regarding Antisect and Discharge, but sometimes people look at a band and don't want the band ever to change from that one period in time.
Yeah.
They want everything to be exactly the same, which is a little bit of a sticking point, I think, sometimes in hardcore. You've got to give people the sort of freedom of movement to discover slightly, I don't know, just new things for themselves, you know. I think it would be really boring. It's like, I love Frampton and I love Piss Christ, but I don't want to listen to them all the time because it's just like playing the same record over and over again, sort of thing, you know. But I'm not disrespecting them because I love what they do, you know.
Yeah.
And I really respect them as people as well. I've like met both bands and they're really cool people. So, you know, it's just, don't know. Sometimes I think bands are a little bit scared to step out of their own groove in a way and sort of try something slightly different. I don't mean to say go like what E&T did or what Antisect did and go sort of really quite total like metal or crust metal or whatever you want to name it. But, you know, it doesn't hurt to sort of try little things slightly different, I think. Japan is so, like over there, people over there are just incredible. I was in a shop at the Osaka gig, and I went to get some bottled water, and I was in the shop, and this guy just came in. He looked like quite a bit of a sort of a Monster Magnet fan, if I dare categorise somebody, but it's the only way I could describe him. And he just came up and spoke in, like, he was Japanese, but he just went, "Oh, Phil, how you doing? I'll buy those for you." And I was like, "What the fuck? How do you know? What's going on?" You know, and this guy was like, "Oh, so you lived in Switzerland for a while? How come all this?" And he knew all about me.
Wow.
And I was just like, "How the fuck do you know all this?" And it turned out he corresponds with Mid, so obviously, you know, there you go.
Do you find it scary sometimes, though? Do you, that people would know so much about you? Or?
Yeah, in a way. It's sort of because it's very unexpected, isn't it? I don't place myself on any pedestals like in music. I've always been quite humble and really appreciative of everything that's happened to me, with not only with music, but most things to do are because I've played music, you know. So I'm really lucky, and I can be, and I'm really thankful of every moment I have in it, you know. Yeah. But sometimes, it is. People come up and they're like, start asking you questions like about things that happened 19 years ago, and why did that happen? And they come out with facts that I'd completely forgotten about, and you just think, is that really important to these people that they know these things? I don't know. It's just incredible, really. Yeah. But it's mind blowing sometimes, and especially when you like being in Japan, it was just like, fucking hell, man, this guy knew everything, you know. Because when I lived over there, I actually I was involved, like being involved in a club and everything, like a music venue and a club, and in that club they did like drum and bass nights, you know. So, and I was I used to do the bar, and then I ended up helping book English DJs and shit like that. And in the end, I just taught myself how to DJ as well, just because I just wanted something to do within music. There was something that I hadn't done before, and something that didn't require any kind of thought behind it as such, in the sense of having to write anything myself, you know. It's just pure escapism. And like this guy knew about all that. Well, he actually said, like, "Yes, is it true you used to be a techno DJ?" And I was like, "What?" But no, actually, I self-taught like drum and bass DJing, but like not techno now. And he was like, "Oh, okay, thanks very much. I'm glad I know that now." You know, so, oh my God, you know, this guy could write my biography.
I suppose it's such a small scene, like, you know what I mean, that people know who people are, and I don't know, it's weird, like, you know. Yeah, it is quite bizarre sometimes. So I don't go to that many gigs anymore, so perhaps it's sort of, you know, I don't suffer with that. But yeah, I can imagine it's like, you know, you go places in the world, and because people do, if you're on a record or something, and you know, your face has been seen somewhere, and like you say, the scene is still quite small as such. So I guess it's unavoidable, but you know, that's the amazing thing with doing all this. Really, is and the beauty of punk, that you're so, everybody is still all in the same bag as such. It's not like other music scenes where you've got like people who are in bands who are kind of held in very high regard and very separate from its audience, you know. Yeah. It's just like, punk is punk, you know. I'm fucking sitting backstage, and you know, it's like when we did Holland recently, and Italy also, like in Holland especially, we played at a place called the Occhi, which was like this alternative squat
if I think it's got council or local government or something backing what they do in Europe, they get subsidised slightly, so, you know, by the local council or whatever, arts council. But as soon as we played, and that was like the second hottest gig I've ever known in my life, and I was fucking dying after that show, and tried to get off stage, nobody would let us, so we had to go, we couldn't get off stage, so we had to do more songs. I nearly fucking passed out. And then, like, literally walked straight from the stage, straight to the merchandise stand and just started selling T-shirts. Well, I ended up giving most of them away, actually, much to the disgust of our guitar player, who was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, it's really cool, all these lovely people here, and like, they don't have loads of money and everything, and I've just been talking to someone for 20 minutes and thought, oh, fuck it, do you want a free T-shirt, you know? You can imagine what I'd be like when I was pissed. It would be terrible. I just like 50 T-shirts, just giving them away. Everybody have a free T-shirt.
You were saying the last time that you don't do murder anymore, do you?
No, purely because I'm the only vegetarian in the band.
But what's the reaction like?
Loads of people fuck it, especially in Japan. I nearly got lynched, I think, every night. We want murder, you must play murder. And because no one really understands English, I can't stand on stage and go, look, these fucking bastards eat me. I'm not the only veggie, so I'm not being a hypocrite, you know.
Yeah.
So I couldn't even say that, you know, so it was just sort of trying to explain to a few people after the show. But in general, I'll always say to people, you know, when they're hassling us to play it, I'll always say, look, I'm the only veggie, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite and have Dean sing fucking vegetarian lyrics when he stuffs his face full of meat.
Yeah.
Because I know what would happen. I know there'd be 1,000 people that would be like, if 1,000 people ever come to see ENT, but there'd be X amount of people who'd say, my God, amazing, ENT still play murder, fantastic. But there'd be 10 times the amount of people going, what a load of hypocritical bastards, you know.
Yeah.
5 of them eat meat, one's a vegetarian, you know, this is totally disgraceful. So it's just not worth a hassle, you know. I think you've got to be committed to what you're singing about in a way, and I just don't think murder would be applicable. Capitalism and fucking greed and sensationalism and fucking popsy fucking TV stars and all this bullshit. It's, you know, it's fucking loads of people sit at work and they chat about, oh fucking hell, have you seen Who's in the Jungle this week? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what? You don't know Who's in the Jungle? And I'm like, what the fuck are you on about? It's a new program. Jordan's in the jungle, you know.
Yeah.
Fucking, you lost me. Honestly, lost me. And I think I'm barking mad. Like, so you don't watch that? Or, oh, did you see who got kicked off X Factor this week? I'm like, I've never seen X Factor in my life. I've got no intention to. What? You missed that? Are you crazy? People, I don't know whether it's an English thing or a European thing, or I think it's even crept into certain aspects of Asian sort of cultures as well, but I think, like, maybe not like the real Asian, you know, Thai, fucking Tibet and all that, but like, I think Western culture, we just love wallowing in other people's misery, pretending that we're doing better than somebody else, you know.
Yeah.
And it's just like all this celebrity stuff is like, really want to see someone fail to make, it kind of gives you a good feeling, like, they did bad, you know, and they're just as shit as me, sort of thing, you know. I'm sure people get off on it in those kind of ways.
That's very true, you know. You know, you have, like, any kid you ask anymore, like, well, some kids, you know, what do you want to do? Oh, I'm going to be a singer, and you know what I mean? They'll queue outside these places. Just, it's all about to be famous, and to be famous, it's really just, it's not about any singing talent. It's all about making money. It's back to the whole greed thing again, isn't it? Like, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is just to be noticed. I think I don't mean, you know, I just think people have this certain desire because life doesn't particularly offer too fucking much to people. You know, the people you see getting into these competitions, you know, are just your average kind of person. You know, and it's fucking, I think it's just it's a clever way of fucking the big companies. They've run out of good, real, or good musicians, real musicians pose too much of a threat to them. like good musicians, I think, like, dare I even say it, like fucking what's her name, the skaghead singer who isn't much of a skaghead anymore, fucking the female singer who recently been making all the headlines, or she was last year for
Amy Winehouse.
that's the one, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you had like Joplin, Led Zeppelin, Hendrix, like the Who, especially the fucking drummer and all that. That was all like to do with drugs. They were wild, they were uncontrollable, and I think the music industry needs people and artists they can control and they can use to make money for themselves. Anything that is a threat to them, they don't like. So I think they've kind of invented this whole thing of like, we'll take you, we'll make you a star, we'll manipulate you into being what we want you to be and what we think can make us money, you know. And it's given people like fucking, these people are no better than your average karaoke fucking singers, most of them.
True.
And it's really sad, I think, sometimes to hear about these things that I hear about, you know, like, you know, I've had people tell me, oh, you know, you should watch it, and sometimes I flick through and I have caught moments of these shows, and I just think, my God, it's unbelievable. Don't people honestly have anything better to do in their lives than to try and grab a moment of fame, and that's all they're fucking trying to do, you know. It's quite reverse, I think.
Do they have any pride or shame?
Yeah, it's just like, I just think the people like Simon Cowell and all the big people involved in it in the companies, they're the ones with no shame, because they will go to any lengths to manipulate people into what they want them to be. And I don't know, it's quite scary as well. They've brought out so many labels and so many distributions, and, you know, they offer choice. So many people don't read between the lines of it all. They think, you know, like you see on your record, you go into a record shop, you might see, 200 records on 100 different labels, say, but those 100 labels are probably owned by 5 companies.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think it's like they say they offer choice, but in a sense they offer nothing. You know, it's all controlled and made into one big package, I think. I'm going quite deep here now, actually. If I keep going on things, I'm really in conspiracy theories and shit like that. So.
Oh, are you? Do you ever listen to Alex Jones or any of that?
No, what's that?
Oh, fuck, no. Don't get me wrong, though. Like, he's like, if you type him in YouTube, no, he is a gun-toting fucking, you know, redneck type. But some of the stuff is really good. But you have to take some of it with a pinch of salt, and some of it... He does a podcast every week. Now, some of it is very extreme. You're going, yeah, I know you're going to be going, like, why the hell did he fucking say this guy was good? But some of it is really interesting. Like, some of it is really, really interesting. But what the shit that I don't like about it, he's very much kind of, you know, have the right to bear arms kind of shit, you know. But then there's another side to it too, like, you know what I mean? But, no, I'm very interested in that too. Like, you know.
I love it. I sometimes go way too deep, get too into it. I mean, I read some Chomsky stuff as well, you know, and it's quite an inspiration. It's just I like to be informed, but I have to know that what I'm taking in is totally the correct information. Yeah. I'm really quite a fine lover of detail, and sort of, I don't know, if I feel that something's not right, or if there's something slightly misrepresented in a book or in a film, like it's meant to be say a political book or something, I'll just put it down, because I think there's a flaw in it. This can't be. I don't know how to take it anymore. You know, I like fact to be fact as such. You know?
Yeah.
I love to find out about things. But I know everything's not that simple and everything's not that sort of black and white as such. But I do. There's one time I went so deep on the internet and DVDs and movies and whatever, watching about like 9/11 and all this sort of stuff that just fucking drove me potty after a while.
Yeah.
There's just so many things. You know that internet site, BBC5.tv, all these documentaries, like there's loads you can get on DVD, and you know, some of them are like to be taken with a pinch of salt, and some of them are obviously a little bit naive in their findings and how they present stuff, but some of them are really fucking good, and there's like all these documentaries, all these little short films, and it's like a subversive internet TV sort of channel as such.
And what's it called?
BBC5.tv.
Oh.
It's got nothing to do with the BBC though. Yeah, it's sort of weird. They even sort of say on the site it won't be too long before the BBC probably take us offline and make us change our name and whatever. But on there, there's just like loads of really cool stuff, and there's a really good thing on there. Like there's this guy, I think he's a Londoner, and he gives like a lecture, and it's filmed. You know, none of it's sort of big high budget stuff. It's all like just like digital camera and all that. And he does this presentation of like taxes and how he has never paid any taxes, and his way of knowing law. And he's been arrested loads of times, and they've tried to fine him and get him on all sorts. And that's one of the main things on there. It's just like this sort of dude. Sort of there's a little picture of him just standing there, and it's sort of probably Play of the Week or something it's called, or something like that. And he goes into this whole thing. Like, and it totally makes you, to understand it in a sense, you've got to totally change the way you think. And it's brilliant, but it twists your mind slightly and you think, bloody hell. If you try and implement that into real life, you've got to know what, like he does, like he knows the law sort of thing. He knows, just, if you can watch it, or really you'll see what I'm on about. It's sort of one of them things that will make you really think, fucking hell, man. That is the only way you can live within the system, but without the system.
Yeah.
That sounds fucking total big brand, doesn't it, really? But it's incredible, and there's loads of good things on there, like all the 9/11 sort of conspiracy theory sort of documentaries and everything's on. They're all on there as well.
Nice one.
Yeah, so I kind of like. I still think there's you know, whatever stance you take on it and however you see it, that is still the one thing in history since like maybe since the Vietnam War really, and then before that the Second World War and what Hitler did. That was just one of the most shocking things historically which I've ever known. You know, it's just like fucking that day still really. That whole concept of it all is just fucking frightening.
Yeah.
And if it was a conspiracy thing, if it was the American government, if you really find out, and that's where I say, you know, I was watching so many things about it. I just thought, fucking hell, if that is true about the American government, that they were behind it all, then fucking, you might as well give up, really. You know, it's just completely mad.
Well, I think the internet has really opened up. Like, there's so much, you know, that the information, obviously there's so much bullshit there too, but there's so much information there, like that people have conversations in the workplace now going, oh yeah, well the first moon landing didn't happen, you know, and all these different things and all these 9/11 conversations that would have never happened before, you know. You'd be just a conspiracy nut, you know.
Yeah.
But
you end up being locked away somewhere.
Yeah. You know, like I was reading there, you know, George Orwell and the whole 1984 thing was like, the whole thing came to him that he was working for, I don't know, was it the BBC, the radio station anyway, and he was giving out, like, he was information on the war effort and stuff, and it was all lies. Everything they were doing was lies, and this is how the whole, thought police and all these ideas came to him from real life. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's things like that. It's like, I just watched something last night, actually. It's called Orwell Rolls in His Grave, and it's a documentary on American mass media and Rupert Murdoch, and it's really interesting. It's not a lot that I don't already know, but it kind of gives more force behind those points, you know, and it kind of goes more in depth, and it just explains really, you know, how everything has become sensationalised and how they will emphasise certain bits of news but will totally disregard other bits of news. And then if you're, it's like Goebbels said, if you're told a lie enough, then you'll begin to believe it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just what people are presented with over and over and over again. And then people who think differently or think, oh, hold on a minute, no, that's not right, actually, but this is my belief, they're kind of ostracised or they're ridiculed by mass media or by, you know, I don't know, whoever else, and people are sort of put down and pushed down. Anybody with different ways of thinking, and anybody that questions sort of facts or anything, or like that's what I just wrote. One of the songs on the slang split is all about like questioning what we're presented in life. You know, you have to question the answers as such, and find your own truth in life, really. But but that's a really good one. But again, it kind of, that's one of the things which has been like argued at the minute. I think the Congress in America are trying ways of how to, like they do in the media, like in the news, like what Rupert Murdoch does is, like he controls all the news. He allows what is told to us as such, in a way, and he's very conservative and he's very right-wing sort of thing. So most of his news channels and most of his publications are actually very biased in that sense. So it's the sort of one positive about the internet, that you still get everybody's point of view on there, whether it be to your liking or not. Yeah. Which is...
Sorry, go on.
It's still, people have, until they work out a way of totally controlling it, we still have freedom of kind of voice to voice our opinions on there. You know, like I say, sometimes it's not particularly what I would agree with, but it's still stuff out there that, you know, I think people have the right to choose, but it depends where, and it also comes down to where do you draw the line as well, sort of what do you allow to be, what is right and what is wrong sort of thing. And I think anybody that seeks to control and stop others from having their fair say, that's when what I would call fascism, and that's what I think the media does, and that's what I think the right-wing parties do, and that's what I think the National Front do, and all the real sort of right-wing parties are like. That, to me, is sort of a sense of fascism, where they seek to deny other people the right to voice their opinions.
Yeah. You caught Nick Griffin on Question Time?
Yeah, I did actually, yeah, what a fucking twat, eh?
But did you hear the aftermath of it? Like, people were, they saw him as a victim. That was the frightening thing. You know, they were saying, like, on it was one of the English radio stations I was listening to, and they were saying, like, that some, I don't know, was it some newspaper did, like, some survey, and people were saying, oh, no, that they would have more of an interest, that they were saying because he wasn't given his say on any, like, the whole show was meant to be about, like, you know, policies on this and that, like, whereas really they were just kind of knocking the BNP. And you're going like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, the way people will view a certain thing, like, you know, it's just, geez, maybe they should have asked them a couple of questions, and I'm sure he would have given some shite answers, like, you know. I don't know.
I couldn't believe it, what I heard people saying about it. It's just unbelievable. It's almost like people had a sense of sort of, they felt sorry for the bloke. You know, it's like, fucking hell, you got to be joking. But, you know, I did feel, though, I mean, that they set out to just basically take apart the BNP, and rightly so. Yeah. But I feel that they should have, I would have personally liked to have seen him actually be given the chance to explain himself and really put himself out there and say, and put himself in front and say, this is what I'm about, and really then people can say, okay, you're a fucking arsehole, you know. Yeah. Rather, I mean, yeah, I don't know, it's sort of like all the people there did, but I mean, he said enough to make you just want to fucking kill him, didn't he, really? I mean, what more can you say? It was just like, made you so crazy. It was just like, for fuck's sake, the bloke was a total arsehole.
Yeah. Well, listen, again, Phil, great talking to you again, and thanks so much for doing the interview as well, like, you know.
Yeah, no problem. I hope it comes out all right, you know, and let me know when you've sort of put it up and put it on air and everything. All right, mate?
Yeah, you take it easy.
Okay, cheers, Sean.
All the best.
Bye.
That was Extreme Noise Terror with Raping the Earth on Back to the Roots on Moshpit Tragedy. Thanks again to Phil for the interview. Now next up is Doom with Police Bastard from the Fuck Peaceville album, originally released by Profane Existence, now repressed and released by Twisted Chords. Cyness with Nazi's Reign from the re-released Our Funeral Ordination for the Human Race, originally released by Sound Pollution. It's been 5 years since From Ashes Rise have played live, and the band has scheduled a live show in Portland, Oregon on February the 21st. This is From Ashes Rise in a Free Land from the Nightmares album. Now here's a new release from Human Compost.
I
That was from Blod Rott's demo, the song Wall of Lies. Again, if you like what you're hearing and would like to support future podcasts, please send a donation at www.profaneexistence.org/donate. Now I want to dedicate the next song to Dan at Profane Existence for hosting the radio show, and for you for downloading the show and listening to it for the last while, and to Jeremy, who does Profane Existence radio show, Damien, who does Doom Society radio, and the folks who do On the Fringe. First up is Richard Dawkins talking about Christmas. The background track is from Fall of Ephra, who have just now broken up, who are one of those bands you could just listen to all day. Very curious to see what they do next with their new bands. So first up was Richard Dawkins, and then after that is Abamebix, and thanks again for listening.
Do you celebrate Christmas in your house?
Yes, we celebrate Christmas. I don't know how often you go to America, but you'll probably be aware that in America there's a kind of movement for, stop them stealing our Christmas. And there's a sort of really rather lying campaign that suggests that atheists and secularists are trying to get rid of Christmas, which is absolute nonsense. I mean, in America there is a move to downplay Christmas, and has been for years, but it comes from other religions. It doesn't atheists. So in America, they tend to celebrate Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, just sort of trying to invent other religious festivals around the same time as Christmas. But I'm perfectly happy on Christmas Day to say Merry Christmas to everybody I meet, sing Christmas carols. Once I was privileged to be invited to King's College, Cambridge for their Christmas carols, and loved it.
I'm the same in a way. I really like the kind of peripheral things about Christmas. I like the smell of tangerines and the smell of a tree and to pull crackers.
We're not killjoys, we're not Scrooges. Or some of us may be, as it happens, but it's nothing to do with whether we're religious or not. And I actually love most of the genuine Christmas carols. I can't bear Jingle Bells and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And you might think from that I was religious, that I can't bear the ones that actually make no mention of religion. I just think that dreadful tunes and even more dreadful words. But I like the traditional Christmas carols.
So could you describe to me what happens in your house on Christmas Day?
Well, we give each other presents, and when my daughter was a bit younger, we would have a Christmas tree. We don't now. We go to my sister's house for Christmas lunch, which is a lovely big family occasion. Everybody thoroughly enjoys it. No church, of course.
This is kind of moving away from the strictly Christmas thing, thinking about God, I suppose. In a way, the invention of God, or the belief in God, seems to point to a thing that's unique to humans, which is an ability to imagine. For instance, it would seem pointless to wonder whether animals believed in God, because they just haven't got that imaginative faculty that could invent such a thing. And so I wondered whether you thought that in some way the invention of God had served some kind of purpose during evolution, and that maybe at this point people have just evolved beyond that stage.
Well, I'd like to pick up on your point about imagination, because you could say that the invention of God, as you said, is a byproduct of the human imagination, and therefore other species are unlikely to have invented the concept of God. First thing I'd say about that is I don't think it's not a very imaginative idea, actually. I mean, it is a product of the imagination, but the human imagination can do a hell of a lot better than God. It's rather a pettifogging, minor piece of imagination, nothing very impressive about it. You then moved on to ask whether there's some advantage, some biological role for religion. I doubt if there is, but there probably is a biological role for those psychological predispositions, of which imagination may be one, which produces religion as a byproduct.
everybody. It's Santa here to say to you all, have fun. Lots and lots of jolly fun.